Hi, and this is Eddie Dexter's Constellation. I wanted to do a podcast because there's a lot of live action buzz going on right now in the world of anime, specifically that of Full Metal Alchemist, and one that's really near and dear to my heart, Ghost in the Shell. And there's rumored to be a live action version coming out of Pokemon, believe it or not. And I'm really hyped about all three of these films coming out in the near future. Especially, of course, Ghost in the Shell. This one has been long overdue. Now, we that are big anime fans remember the catastrophe that was Dragon Ball Evolution, and then the abomination that was The Last Airbender. The Last Airbender still leaves an awful taste in my mouth. Just M. Night Shyamalan, you really should be banned from directing. You shouldn't even be allowed to come near any source of manga ever again. Stick to just thrillers. So please don't approach any manga or anime ever again, please. But so it comes to the issue now of whitewashing in Hollywood. We saw it with Dragon Ball Evolution. We saw it in the last film with Emma Stone, and how Emma Stone was supposed to play a Japanese girl. How in the world was that supposed to pass? And now we have Scarlett Johansson playing the Major in Ghost of the Shell. And I know some people are gonna have a big fit over her playing the Major. Now, quite honestly, I think in this case, even though, yes, she's not Japanese and the Major is Japanese, I think there's an exception here. I think that Scarlett is a fine enough actress where she can pull this off. She's earned her action chops. And I know that some may say, okay, the actress who played in Pacific Rim, how come she can't play the Major? I get it. I'm down with her. I think she's a fantastic actress and should have been selected as well. But I have a thought to share with you on what's happening in Japan, because it's not just a phenomenon that's happening with Hollywood. I had the opportunity to watch Attack on Titan, or SNK, live action. And the live action version of Attack on Titan was, I have to say, worse than The Last Airbender. If you haven't seen the live action version of Attack on Titan, it was worse. And what I mean by that, at least The Last Airbender tried to respect the source material. The Attack on Titan live action did not even respect the source material. How so? Well, for one, Mikasa Ackerman was a shriveling damsel in distress. Whereas in the manga and in the anime, she is a very strong, stoic heroine. Now, how does she become that way? She becomes that way because she suffers a traumatic event. What event is that? It is, Mikasa is half European and half Japanese. And she's really the last of her kind, the last Japanese in the world. And she's very rare. And because of her rarity, her beauty, she was going to be sold off in the slave trade, human trafficking. And her parents were killed before her eyes. Her friend Aaron saved her life and gave her his scarf to keep her warm and from going into shock. And throughout the rest of the series, she wore that scarf that Aaron provided her as a source of comfort and as a touchstone of their friendship and unabiding love. Well, they never confessed as of the story at this time, but you know what's going down. So, but she's the only Japanese in the world of Attack on Titan. But in the live action movie, everybody is Japanese. Aaron, oh gosh, the names are escaping me, and that's poo-poo on me. But everybody, they're all Japanese, and that's not according to the manga, and that's not according to the anime. So the problem that I had with the live action version of Attack on Titan is that it totally strayed from the source material. It changed the nature of Mikasa, and everybody was Japanese when the majority of the people needed to be German or French or British or some of maybe African descent. But there was only one Japanese person that lived at that time, and that was Mikasa after the death of her mother. Mikasa was the only Japanese. So now it comes to Full Metal Alchemist. They're making a live action version of Full Metal Alchemist. Who in that story is Japanese? There are no Japanese people in that story. Now, there are some that are of age that you would say are Asian because they come from the land of Xing, Xing. They come from that land. But they are the only ones that appear Asian, like Ling Mao. They're the only ones that are of Asian descent. But Winry Rockbell, Major Louise Armstrong, Edward and Alphonse Ulrich, do you think that they are Japanese? So how are the Japanese movie producers going to cast Full Metal Alchemist? It's going to be very interesting. Are they going to, like they did with Attack on Titan, follow the same patterns that Hollywood has fallen when it comes to the casting of materials based on anime and manga. It's true that Hollywood has a horrific record when it comes to casting roles based upon films from manga and anime. But now comes the acid test. If you're going to write a manga or an anime and the characters have blonde hair and blue eyes or red hair and their names are European sounding names, then they should be cast as such. Now, if you have a character whose name is Inuyasha or Shishomaru, then or Kenshi or Tenshi, then of course you're going to have it's going to say you're going to say, okay, these characters are Japanese. Someone whose name is Bato, that person is Japanese. But if their name is Louise Armstrong, or then that's not a Japanese sounding name. And if he's got bulging muscles with blonde hair and blue eyes, I don't know of too many Japanese that have naturally blonde hair or blue eyes. So all I'm saying to both Hollywood and to the major movie studios in Japan is be faithful to your source material. Trust the viewer and the reader of your materials, because we're going to respect you that if you're going to cast a film based upon a manga whose main characters are Japanese, we want them to be Japanese. But if they are European or sound and look European, then we want them to be European. Just as a side note, if the rumor about full Pokemon is true, then someone will say, well, Ash Ketchum, well, is he Japanese? Well, if Ash Ketchum is the Americanized version, but yes, Ash Ketchum is Japanese, and he comes from I can't think of the prefecture of where Pallet Town is supposed to be, but there is an actual prefecture from which the fictional town of Pallet Town is in Japan. So yes, the actual origins of Ash Ketchum is Japanese. So when they come up with a Pokemon movie, then Ash Ketchum needs to be cast as a Japanese boy. So for all of you Pokemon fans out there, then there you go. So, and please forgive me, because right now I'm very tired and I really need to get some rest. But I just needed to get this out there because the anime sphere is just a buzz right now with the latest still shot of Scarlett Johansson as the Major, and people are now just really hyped about Ghost in the Shell, and some are like really happy to see her, and some are like really bashing her at being cast as the Major. I, for one, even though I really, and please forgive me for not recalling the name of the girl who, the young lady who played her name in Pacific